Hi, everybody. This is Stephanie from the Yale Alumni Association. I am very excited to be here with all of you tonight in this new look for Yale Alumni Live. So I hope that you enjoy this and like seeing us outside of a Zoom screen. I am really excited to be joined tonight by an alum who has had a really interesting experience with Day of Service projects. So without further ado, I'm going to add Juan Carlos Salinas to our episode tonight to tell you a little bit about his Yale experience. So let's get him here with us. Hello, how are you?
Hello. Hi, Stephanie. How are you? Good.
Great to be here with you tonight. I'm so excited. I was telling Juan Carlos in the background, this is our first time on this new platform, so we're really excited, and I'm really grateful to him for being here with us tonight. So we're going to get started the way that we always do, which is giving you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about your Yale story. So Juan Carlos, if you'd be so kind, tell us, how you chose Yale, what you came to Yale for, and what your experience was like.
Sure. I will try to give you the non-boring, quick as possible version.
Okay.
But again, my name is Juan Carlos Salinas. I also go by JC, which are my first two initials. So I'm originally from Rio Grande City, Texas, which is in Starr County, right on the border to Mexico. I grew up, 10 minutes away from Mexico, like a lot of people who live on the border. My mom is a Mexican citizen. My father is Mexican American. And Rio Grande is not necessarily known for its great education system. Like many Texas high schools, it is predominantly, like trying to achieve some kind of athletic accomplishment or so on. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't know that Yale University existed in high school. I didn't know that there was such a thing as the Ivy League or anything like that. I just knew that I wanted to go to University of Texas, Austin, because to me, that was the great, fun, and good school in Texas, right? It was either that or Texas A&M, where my father went, and I didn't really care for Texas A&M. So, proud Longhorn, we don't really care for the Aggies, but that's fine. My father's an Aggie. Anyway, so like I said, I didn't know that any of these schools existed when I was in high school. And it wasn't, for lack of technology or anything. It's just that our teachers, our counselors, just, they assume these are places that we do not belong in. So don't even bother, don't even try, right? So I went to the University of Texas undergraduate, where I got my degree in theater and dance. And I had an amazing experience. And I love Austin, Texas. I love UT. However, it was clear that I needed a proper next step, that I wasn't really trained to do anything in particular. I was very close to a lot of faculty. I was very close to a lot of advisors, and they all said, you need to do graduate school. And they were like, the world is filled with unemployed actors. You need to be a manager so that if you can create your own work, create opportunities for others. It's like, okay. So, I kind of prepared my senior year for that trajectory. And I was not going to apply to Yale. My top choice was actually California Institute of the Arts, and my second choice was Columbia. And then I had a professor who sat down with me and sat me down and said, you are going to apply to the Yale School of Drama. You're going to apply to the theater management program. And I was like, I don't know that I fit in there. I don't know that it's my thing. Blah, blah, blah. And this woman, her name is Melba Martinez, and she was actually at St. Edward's University at the time. She took 4 hours out of her day to sit down with me and do my Yale application with me. And it was an incredible experience to have, that kind of mentorship when doing an application. And she's actually one of the very few Latinas or people in the United States that holds can't remember the specifics of her PhD, but, very special woman. And again, she changed the trajectory of my life. And, so I went to Yale, I visited Columbia, and to me, New York City was very exciting. And I got to New Haven and I was like, not really feeling it. But then I went back to Austin. I didn't think I was going to get into Yale. And then next thing I know, about 2 weeks later, I got an envelope in the mail. This was before email notifications, right? So it was a very thin envelope. So I was like, oh, it's a rejection letter. But I opened it and it was it was an acceptance letter. And they're like, your real package is on the way. And, it's just one of those moments where like your heart just drops because you just think, Yale School of Drama, something that's so well known and this prestige and everything. And it's like, I'm being asked I could be part of this. So after a lot of reconsideration, everything, a lot of conversations with faculty, mentors, I chose Yale. So I arrived to Yale in the fall of 2000, and It was this completely surreal experience. I was not ready academically for the rigor of the school. And, I went straight from undergraduate. So I was actually much closer in age to the undergrads than I was to any of my peers who were, late 20s, early 30s. So I had a very hard time adapting. Plus, if you've ever been in Austin, Texas, especially in 2000, I call it like this utopian paradise. And then you show up in New Haven and you're just like, oh my God, like, how am I going to survive here for 3 years? But that said, after my first semester, I really adapted and, I really got used to the place. Uh, Yale really grew on me. And most importantly, I found like the pivotal experience that I had at Yale, which was I was introduced to La Casa Cultural, La Casa Julia Burgos. And at the time, there was the dean was Rick Chavoya, and he just really took me under his arm, and he really introduced me to everyone, and was like, "This is your home. This is where you should be." And I went from being an overwhelming majority in Texas to being like, I think there was 6 Latinos in the entire drama school when I was there, my first year. So it was a very humbling and deterring experience. But then I got to meet La Casa and other students like me who were also from Texas, California, all these other places. And that just kind of became my home away from home. And, I really got involved with a lot of, especially Mechas. Mecha was like my home team there. And, I got to meet a lot of amazing people. Anyway, so after 3 years, I graduated. I actually took a job with Office of New Haven State Affairs. It was like right after I graduated. I was sort of waiting for my best friend who was 1 year behind me in the same program. And we had agreed that we would like try New York City together. And we did. So, but yeah, like I said, at Yale, I had an amazing experience. I think a lot of people confuse theater management with stage management. And, the theater management program is more akin to a nonprofit training program. And the great thing about Yale School of Drama is like, you get to apply what you learn to a real world. You take classes and you work. Your first year, you go through about 8 rotations. In addition, when I was there, it was like 8 classes per semester, and then you also worked part-time. Then your second year, you have you do 1 position for a semester, and then you do a residency, a fellowship for the other half of the year. And then your third year, you kind of have your big boy job for the Yale School of Drama, Yale Repertory Theater. And it was an incredible experience. So like my third year project was, I was managing director of the Yale Cabaret Theater, which was, a great experience, learning how to run a theater, learning how to run a restaurant, again, just amazing experience. All this time, though, most of my social life was much more closely aligned with the undergrads. Most of my close friends are from undergraduate. And I actually ended up auditing like 6 Yale courses. I took classes with Harold Bloom. I took his Shakespeare, the Romance and Histories. I audited a class with Stephen Pitty and Jonathan Holloway, Seth Silverman, Jill Lane. Just, again, several amazing classes. So, again, it was just, I'm happy because I got the true Yale experience, which is I got to experience everything, not just one thing, right? So I moved to New York City, and in about 2007, Yale created the Alumni Association created the SIGs, the shared interest groups. Right. And, it was very exciting because it was like Yale was saying, like, formally, have this Yale Latino Alumni Association now network, and they called us together at the Yale Club. We had kind of a big open house town hall meeting. I was one of the very few graduate students that was there. But again, that's because I went out of my way to be involved with the undergrad community. And they formed the first thing, which was the Yale Latino Alumni Association of the tri-state area. And I was part of that group. After 2 years, I was the co-chair. That was 2009. And I've been the chair ever since, and I've seen a lot of people come and go. But around 2010, I got the idea to do a Yale Day of Service project, which was to, help students in high schools, get into top tier schools, not just the Ivy Leagues, but, top tier universities. And what was wonderful is we first started off with a very small high school in Bushwick, Brooklyn called the Academy of Urban Planning. At the time, it was not a very high-functioning school. Now they've kind of changed, they've really improved. But, predominantly Latino, African-American high school, I think they had a 60% graduation rate. So again, it was a tough sell, but, I brought like 12 Yale Latino alumni together to help these students do their applications. And, we really had an impact. We worked with like maybe their top 10 students, and, one of them got into Pitzer, University of Rochester, and one of them got the Bill Gates scholarship, so he would never have to pay for anything while he was at college. So, and we knew that we kind of were like the motivating factor in helping these things happen. So the program expanded over the years, and also at the same time, you have the birth of the Inter-Ivy League Latino Alumni Council, which is Latino alumni from the 8 Ivy League schools getting together and kind of like creating this networking system, both socializing, help social causes, everything. So I asked them to come along and to join me in the project. And it grew just every year. We went from like 10 students to 20 students to 30 students to 40 students. Eventually we were at 80 students, then we got to 100. And, this past year we serviced over 500 students, through our panels and workshops and everything. So in 2016, I joined the board of La Unidad Latina Foundation. And they were a scholarship granting organization for Latino students who are civically engaged at their university. So I was on the board for about a year, and they're like, you're doing Tu Tambien, which is college access. We do these college scholarships. Why don't you bring this program on board to the foundation? And we did. And it just kind of took us to a whole new level structure, part of a nonprofit organization. It made sense. And in 2019, I was asked to be the executive director of the foundation, part-time, because I'm still director of education at Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning as well, too. And, the rest, as they say, is history. So, we are probably, if we're not the largest, we're one of the largest nonprofit college access programs in New York City. I think we're the most radically successful. This year we had 14 students admitted to Harvard, 13 to Yale. Princeton was 10. And to me, when I remember hearing these numbers, I was like, oh, they're low. Because the year before, we had 19 students accepted to Yale. So it was like, but anyway, our college program is like unlike any other. I don't want to go into too much details of the program, but what I will say is I have a lot of alumni helping me out, not just from Yale, but from other top tier schools. You don't have to have gone to an Ivy or top tier school. Anyone who's willing to help and is familiar with holistic applications or understands the concept of a holistic application, they help us out a lot. I have a college crew of about 150 to 200 students that also help me help the students. And then the seniors that are about to graduate in June, they really help me out a lot. So you kind of get these 3 layers of volunteers that, they just help you out, help, all these new students get ready, prepared for college. And then, obviously because of COVID, things had to change this past year. Not just for us, we went to a completely Zoom platform, which in a way made so many things easier. And I do miss the camaraderie of being in person and, helping students face to face, but, we had to make do with what we had. This year, we're hoping to go back to an in-person. However, we're absolutely keeping Zoom because, we're a college access program that starts meetings sometimes at 10 p.m. at night or at midnight, because that's what works for the students. So that's, I'm a night owl anyway. I don't have kids. It's kind of perfect. So, so yeah, like we're 24/7, we're available to students like throughout the year. Also, a lot of applications are due in January, and a lot of nonprofits, they close down, between Christmas Day and New Year's Day. We're open. And, we have all these meetings. We have, God, I think one day we went from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. just editing and helping students with it. It was just amazing. But again, you kind of get a high off of it because seeing these students get their acceptances is kind of reliving your own acceptance over and over and over. And it's just, it's amazing because that these schools are going to change the trajectory of these students' lives. Mm-hmm. And to know that you were part of that, it's kind of amazing. And the one thing about YTT is that we are not exclusive to any one group. We did start off sort of for Latinos students. And then, after a lot of discussions, we just opened it up to everyone. We decided to take the public library approach. That said, 75 to 80% of our students identify as first-gen low income. But one of the things I always hear from Yale alumni is they always say, I wish somebody in high school had taught me how to be comfortable around rich people. And I thought that was such an interesting statement. And one of the things that YTT seeks to do is to get you to become friends with people who are nothing like you, people who you don't know, people who have from different backgrounds, but you're all working during this one common theme to get into college, right? And most of the time, high school students, when they go to college prep mode, they hunker down. It's very, me, myself, and I. You're not used to the concept of working as a team, and we take a completely different approach. And I can't say too much because it'll take up too much time, but we really do have a family-based approach to everything that we do. And I call it the Latino family approach, which is, there's always pizza, there's cupcakes, there's lots of food for the kids, and just having fun while you're doing this incredibly stressful thing. So.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely love, there's so many things that I want to talk to you about, but I think right now would be the perfect time to share the video that you gave me to exemplify the organization a little bit. And then I want to touch upon some of the points that you brought up about Day of Service, about this virtual environment and how Yale alumni can get involved in Day of Service, Year of Service, virtual opportunities, all that good stuff. So let's go to this video quickly, and then let's talk a little bit about why you chose to do this and how other people can get involved. So I'm going to share a video with everybody.
Hi, my name is Genevieve Heron. I'm a senior at Brooklyn Technical High School, and I'm going to Middlebury next fall.
Hi, my name is Mohammed Islam. I'm going to Cornell University.
Hi, my name is Roy Dalgo. I go to Bronx Science, and I got accepted to Tufts University.
I created Tu Tambien to level the playing field. In a country where everybody is looking to pay to get ahead, I wanted to start a program where students could come to us no matter what their background is in life and be here for them and support them through the entire process.
When I just came here, the amount of dedication that people put to every single student, it's really mind-blowing.
You get one-on-one talks with people, you get to network and you get all these opportunities.
I really do believe that our organization is like no other, just because our mentor quality from alumni, we have current college students, and then we have high school seniors who are on their way to college that help the new generation prepare.
I'm able to give back, so now I see like the new generation of Tu Tambien kids, and I'm excited that like the seniors that were helping me, I'm one of them now, and I get to help these incoming juniors and seniors.
Like JC always says, the secret sauce to YTT really is the family element of it.
And Tu Tambien has been really helpful for me.
Oh, it's buffering. I'm sorry, guys.
It gave me a community that I could bounce my ideas off of, and gave me a bunch of new.
All right. Well, technology is as it does sometimes, but I think we got a pretty good idea of the program and how proud these students are to be a part of it. So Juan Carlos, would you tell us a little bit about maybe why you chose to get involved with Day of Service and how that experience has been for you?
Yeah. So for me, Yale Day of Service has always been about, when you go to a school like Yale, it can change your life forever, or the trajectory of your life. Sometimes I wonder what it would have been if I hadn't gone to Yale, right? Or if I had stopped, not gotten my master's. But then when you get there and you undergo and you see how many doors that aim opens, you want to pay it forward, right? Because it's like, I had this amazing opportunity because, somebody sat down and spent 4 hours with me doing my application, right? And I got the idea of like, well, what if I could replicate that experience, someone helping me get into Yale, vice versa, like now it's my turn to help other people. It's this concept of paying it forward, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, like Yale Day of Service seemed like the perfect opportunity to do that. And it was actually Mindy Marks, who works at the Yale Alumni Association, who gave us the name. We were brainstorming, like, what do I call it, Mindy? She's like, well, how do you say "and you can too" in Spanish? I was like, well, there's a couple of different ways, but for me, I would say like y tú también, like meaning, and you can too. And it stuck, you know, and like I said, it was just an opportunity to give back in a meaningful way. But the thing is, for me, it was like one day out of the year was not going to cut it. Like, so it systematically turned into a year-round program, which then in turn led to it becoming part of a nonprofit organization. And again, now being one of the largest college access programs in New York City with, I would argue, the best results, you know. And we're all scrappy, you know. I am not trained in college admissions. I figure things out on my own. My mentors figure things out on my own. I'm lucky that I have a lot of mentors who are former admissions officers or students who worked at admissions offices, you know, so they've given me a lot of insight over the years, you know, but we figured things out through trial and error. And like I said, the reason that I wanted to do this for Yale Day of Service is because, again, I think the whole point of being a Yalie, I don't know if anybody watches, oftentimes when I saw something on YouTube last week, I was watching a show and the person said something like, you know, yeah, you know, Ivies and their alums, but there's something about Yale alumni that they really love each other, or like they really look out for each other, or they're always so happy to meet each other. And I would argue that that is true. I think we have the strongest alumni network, you know. To say that Yale was the first one to officially sanction, you know, shared interest groups, when a lot of our other peer institutions didn't want to do that because they were scared it would balkanize their fundraising, Yale took a chance, and I think it paid off.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And you know, as someone who works for the Alumni Association and for Mindy Marks, in fact, I know firsthand, you know, the dedication of our teams that are working together, you know, to bring Yale community to other communities around the world. And my particular team is the regional clubs. And so clubs across the globe are engaged in Yale Days of Service right now. And obviously the pandemic made that look a little bit different, but folks are still engaging in online activities like you mentioned. And in many cases, it's made it easier for people to participate. So we're really, really grateful to all the volunteers who have been doing that this past year and plan to continue to do that in the future. So Juan Carlos, as our time together comes to a close, what advice would you have for whether it's a club that's trying to get a Day of Service project kicked off, or someone who's interested in getting involved in Day of Service or in a shared interest group or a club? What encouragement or advice would you give them?
It's just sometimes if it doesn't exist, you have to be the one to be the leader, or you have to do it. You have to sit there, you have to plan it out, you have to be the contact person, you have to be the dedicated individual who's going to get it done. And you just have to adapt this mentality of like, no one's going to, I mean, you know, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. You know, I've been the chair now of the tri-state area for probably around 10 years. And it's because, you know, I've just had this devotion and dedication, and, you know, like I don't have children, so I have the time and the ability to do this. Granted, time-wise, it's still always, but, you know, I love what I do. And when you know you are changing students' lives, it just makes it so much worth it. And like you said, with Zoom, I was really disappointed because, of course, I'm honorary chair in 2020 and COVID happened, so that didn't happen. But again, Zoom has allowed us to just serve many more people. I had 30 new Yale alumni volunteer this year because it's through Zoom. So before, these workshops used to be in person, where I would get the alumni together in one room with the student. And it had to happen on one day in October, one day in December. Now, it's like, okay, you can meet whenever you want through Zoom, either in the month of October or the month of December, but it doesn't have to be on this one day. It can be around the alumni mentors time, you know, that works for them. So if anybody's interested, please contact me at juancarlos.salinas@lulfoundation.org. I'm always happy to have new mentors. You know, I deal with basically the best, brightest kids in New York City who happen to be first-gen low income, but they are hustlers, and I mean hustlers.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for all your work that you've done on behalf of the Alumni Association and representing Yale in New York City. For anybody that's watching, there are Yale clubs across the globe. Check it out, alumni.yale.edu, to find out what you can get involved in, where you can get involved in. If you want to reach Juan Carlos and you couldn't pick up his email from that, we'll get you connected to him. We would love to have more Yale mentors out there for future Bulldogs and to just help students all over the globe. So Juan Carlos, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure
Can I
talking
make,
with you.
can I make one more pitch? Yes.
Yeah.
So also, if you want to visit our website, actually, to find out everything, lulf.org. LULF stands for La Unidad Latina Foundation. The letter LULF.org. LULF. Very easy to read through site. Very easy to get in touch with me through that. So again, if you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Like, you never know when you're going to be ending up helping out the next Yale or Harvard, but yes, please sign up, participate. We'd love to have more mentors. Always, there's never enough.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure getting to chat with you, hearing your Yale story and your Yale Day of Service story. So anybody out there watching, get involved. You know how to find us. Thank you so much for watching tonight, and we'll see you again really soon. Bye.